Hi! The process of designing and decorating a gingerbread house versus a cake is definitely very different, but there are some similarities. A cake can be anything, right? A cake can be a concept, but when you're making a gingerbread house, in theory that remains true, but usually it's some kind of structure, so it's a building or a house. You can definitely get a little bit more creative with it. Like, I've made the Eiffel Tower, I've made a little flower cart out of gingerbread. Mostly I've stuck to houses, and while it can be kind of difficult coming up with unique ideas, that traditional classic gingerbread house just never gets old. Over the past 7 years, I've made over 30 gingerbread structures. And let me tell you, in that time, I feel like I have learned everything there is to know about gingerbread. I know that's not true. I know I still have more to learn throughout the rest of my life. But I think it's safe to say that compared to the average American, I am more than qualified to teach a gingerbread house class, which is why I say with great pride and joy and excitement that for the first time ever, I will be offering gingerbread house classes this December in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the model house that you will be making is the one that you're watching me make in this video. This was my sample house. I have genuinely given so much thought to every single detail of this process and what makes it really difficult to do at home and how I can set up attendees for success when they actually come and do it. I have tried those at-home kits you can buy at Target or whatever. They set you up to fail because the icing is not sturdy enough, the roof is too heavy, and they don't even give you good candy. It's just like a random jumble of things that all look tacky together. I'm sorry, it's just true. So when you step into a Whisk Chick gingerbread class, you will have a pre-assembled house. I've seen too many walls cave in, too many roofs fall off. We are trying to have a holly jolly time. I don't want to be stressed about that. I don't want you to be stressed about that. These houses are made from 100% edible materials. Technically, they are totally safe to eat. However, I would not recommend eating them for display purposes only because my construction grade gingerbread is significantly stronger and harder than if I were to make gingerbread cutout cookies. You know, stability, longevity. The clear liquid you saw me pouring into the windows earlier that is now nice and firm is called isomalt. And it is a sugar substitute, so it's actually sugar-free, but it kind of works like sugar in many ways. I have used real sugar for gingerbread windows, but I find that it is significantly less stable, and also it turns like a yellowish hue, and it can turn brown, and it's really, really hard to get it to the perfect temperature where it's clear and it stays hard. So it is just much easier for me to use isomalt for gingerbread house windows. I wish I could give you a whole chemistry lesson, but unfortunately I did get a D in chemistry in high school and I have no idea what I'm talking about, and I don't still fully understand what isomalt is. And at this point, I'm too afraid to ask. If anyone knows more than me about this, please tell me in the comments because I would love to learn. My favorite detail to add to the end of a gingerbread house is icicles, and they're actually so easy to add and they make such a huge difference. Even though the board is white, I still like to cover it in white icing to give it a little bit more texture and just make it look a little bit more like snow. Another really fun detail is a little rock path, so I just made little rocks out of fondant to add by the front door. If you love what you see here and you live nearby, I would absolutely love to have you for a gingerbread house class. They will be on December 1st and 7th, and I never do weekend classes, so that's kind of a big deal. Let me know what you think. Bye! This is a trust the process cake with a really fun lesson in color theory, which is always very interesting to me. My client wanted a chocolate cake with chocolate frosting and strawberry filling. I made this client's birthday cake last year, and she's come to 3 different cake classes, which is just so touching to me. All she told me for the design was she wanted it to be really gold and sparkly and Scorpio theme. That's all she told me. She just said, get creative with it. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting pretty tired of that super bright, shiny, millennial gold. To get that shade of gold on a cake, you would have to start with a pretty light color and then absolutely douse or airbrush the entire thing with gold powder or gold airbrush. And that's something I've never tried because it kind of intimidates me. I think you would have to use so much product to get it to work. It would affect the taste. I could be wrong. I would love for other bakers to chime in the comments, but this is what I ended up doing. I took that same chocolate frosting that I used for the crumb coat and I added a bunch of yellow food dye and a tiny bit of black to get this really weird looking bronzy color. This was the perfect base color for an antique gold. I know it doesn't look like it yet, but I'm telling you, stick with me here, trust the process. I wanted to embrace the antique gold vibes with this really ornate piping detail, so I feel like I was really channeling my gingerbread skills with this, just doing these really over-the-top detailed intricate decorations on the sides. I get a lot of requests for astrology themed cakes, and I don't really know that much about astrology, so it is kind of difficult. Usually I just end up picking like a color scheme and then writing the sign on top of the cake. Some signs correspond with an animal, which makes it a little easier, but not all of them do. And then I just struggle with that. I don't know what to do. But I don't think I've ever had a client that was like disappointed that their astrology cake wasn't astrology themed enough, or if they felt that way, they didn't tell me. I've been trying to get one of those like sun chocolate or fondant molds, like a really ornate sun, because I feel like that is very astrology coded. I can't find any that I really like, and I think if I would have tried to add stars or a moon to this, it just would have taken away from the rest of the detail. I'm sure some people will disagree with me on that, but that's fine. We can agree to disagree. With the shine of the frosting from this angle, it almost already starts to look gold, but I have a whole other trick up my sleeve. I was so excited to try this technique, I cannot even tell you. I've seen people make gold cakes before with a similar technique, but with a black base, and I still just feel like that requires so much more product. So I'm sure it works, but I wanted to try something new. I don't have an airbrush, but I do have these little spray pumps that I usually use for glitter. So I took my edible gold dust, filled it up, and even with just a couple sprays, you can see it transforms the entire cake. I thought I was still gonna have to use a lot of product, but honestly, it was not that much gold dust on the cake. Like a tiny bit really went a long way with this base color. I did also add a little gold glitter. I think that made a big difference. This feels like an optical illusion to me because it looks like the whole cake is coated in powder, and actually it's not at all. I'm obsessed with how ornate and antique this looked. This client loved it. Let me know what you think. I love Valentine's Day colors and vibes year round. I just think that it's the cutest holiday. This client wanted pink, red, cherries, glitter. I suggested adding bows, and we just went all in, and it turned out so cute. Okay, I've been meaning to share this for ages, and I just keep forgetting, but I have a bone to pick. I tried the berry chantilly cake at Whole Foods recently, and I've just heard so many people like absolutely love it. It has this cult following, and there was that controversy recently about how they stopped adding berries to the top. But now, the one that I got had berries on the top, so I don't know. I guess they changed it back. But it was so mediocre. It was not good. I was so disappointed. I know I have pretty high standards, but the frosting was just tastes like shortening. And I have an appreciation for grocery store cakes. Like, there's a time and a place. I don't automatically dislike them. I just expected better from something that so many people are like obsessed with. If you like it though, please keep enjoying it, okay? I'm not trying to yuck anybody's yum. Okay, we gotta move on. November is flying by, which is scary because December is right around the corner, and I still haven't posted gingerbread classes, even though I've been so excited about doing them, and I keep telling my family and friends about them. They're like, okay, well, you have to post that soon, otherwise you're gonna run out of time. That is very high on my list of priorities this week. If you're new here, I am very much into gingerbread house making. I made a video like way earlier this year in January rating all the gingerbread houses I've ever made, and it's a lot of them. I also do take custom gingerbread orders for your home or your workplace, only in the greater Milwaukee area, but just shooting my shot. I've never really had any interest in being on any kind of baking competition show, but the one I've always been a little curious about is the Gingerbread Showdown. For years, people would tell me, you have to be on one of those baking shows, like that would be so cool. And I was always like, yeah, they've reached out to me a few times, like via email to apply, but I'm just not really interested. I don't really think that's something that I want to do. People are always so shocked by that reaction, but no one I know has asked me about that within the past year or so, and I genuinely think it's because of TikTok. I have been offered so much unsolicited advice about my business since its conception. Unfortunately, that kind of comes with the territory of being a young woman starting your own business, but I'm always going to stick to my gut, and I always have, and so far I have to say it's been working out really well for me. I feel like I'm showing a snobbier side of me today with that and with the berry chantilly cake, so Hopefully you don't look at me any differently. I'm just stressed. These final details do so much for this cake. I think glitter cherries are always a good idea. I always struggle with bow placement, but I think that 4 is a good number. Here she is. This client loved her cake. I hope she had the best birthday ever. Bye.